And it wasn't until after the war when they started with the big tracks. And some of those was 500 and 600 houses at a time, so it went up real fast.
Well, as the dairies went out, let's see, I'm trying to think of what was over here right behind Progress Park. There was a dairy here, and after the dairy went out, they built these houses over here on Madison, and there used to be a gas station on every corner in Paramount.
The dairy started going out in the 60s, and development came in. Primarily industrial development was taking over the dairies. There was some housing project. Progress Park was a dairy at one time, and that was the Van Dam Dairy. And then the project south of that, the housing project there was built by Ralph Garland, and the first housing track, the new housing track on Topeka Drive.
The dairies were leaving, and there was a lot of blight. You know, as you can imagine, you know, when the dairies move out, you know, the empty corrals, you know, the fencing, and I mean, it's just terrible.
The properties became too valuable to have cows on. You know, maybe an acre would be here $20,000. Well, in Chino, they could buy acres at $500 an acre, $1,000 an acre. And there was a lot of open field in the Chino area. A lot of them went there. Also, they went to Visalia, farther north, Hanford, that area, to Larry. Right now, there's still quite a few dairy farms out there, big ones. They're most bigger now, much bigger, yes.
It was kind of sad because we had all the Dutch families. We had some nice, very wonderful churches in town, the Emmanuel Reform, the Catholic Church, of course, the Emmanuel, and there's a few others. All of them were doing quite well, but they took the citizens with them. Everybody left. And they were leaving. It was generally a town that was in turmoil and turning over. We just didn't have much going on. To be very honest with you, people were a little sad and everything was slacking off. People were moving away from the city.
But once the dairies were out, then usually that was personnel. Then they moved out, and then they started building all over. And Paramount by that time was shooting for industry, and they had quite a bit of industry.
And most of your revenue was generated by liquor stores and your sales tax base, and you know, if you don't have your sales tax base and you don't have funds for law enforcement, for public safety, and then when you don't have that, then the negative aspects of the community really come to life.
I guess the eye-opener was the Rand report, and that came up in very early 80s, I'm going to say 80, 81, and it listed the city as one of the 10 worst in the United States.
I'll never forget that. I'm living in Paramount at the time. I'm raising a family. I'm working for the city. It's 1981, and like anyone else, I walk out my front door in my pajamas and pick up the LA Times and open the front page, and there's Paramount, one of the 8th worst disaster suburbs in America, and that's the city you live, work, and are raising a family, and it was just a tragic moment for the city.
They listed us at the economic bottom, one of the most disastrous cities in the whole thing, and so after we hired the new people, we had decided then, and that's a joint council decision, to see if we could upgrade the city, and these people, Bill Holt, Dick Powers, just really took a hold of it, directed us. They had a lot of experience. And within 2-3 years, we were an all-American city. What happened was that the redevelopment had encompassed everything in the city that was not a residence. Ted Mosier was responsible for that, and that council before us, and they did a magnificent job in just outlining the city so that no residents were ever threatened, so you didn't get much in the way of opposition. And then once that was in effect, we were able to we threatened condemnation. We never had to condemn anybody, and we took all that extra money and poured it back into the city to revitalize it in the downtown area and in blighted areas. Essentially, that's what it amounted to.
The town really changed when they tore down the inner city.
Paramount chose to tear down and start over, as you can see by the whole downtown section. That was a big process. And City Fathers had a great vision for the city, and it turned out very well.
Well, the city, was pretty run down, and I wasn't really involved. And but I remember seeing in the papers occasionally and stuff, that the council was talking about redevelopment and changing the look of the city. And there was a lot of scare information out of there from the local press about gangs and, problems in our schools and all these types of things. I kind of got involved because of neighborhood issues and started meeting with the local city officials and getting to know the community leaders. And what I found through that was there were so many things to be proud about living in the city of Paramount.
When you're redeveloping a downtown and there are businesses along there, and some of them remember that their father started the business in that store and wanted some kind of a legacy for him. And the whole history of people's lives gets wrapped up into it.
We've cleaned it up. Now you go through Paramount, you got this wonderful little area with the fake cows in there. That wonderful big tree is still over there.
A month ago, we named Frank Zamboni Elementary School. And it was nice to have the Zambonis speak with us and share their memories.
Business are wanting to come to Paramount.
Well, look at our Starbucks. They used to say that our Starbucks, that it wasn't even going to make it. There wasn't the right clientele here. And, it's one of the most successful in the county. And
they're always telling us, your city, above every other city we've been to around, has kind of this hometown feel. I feel like I'm in a little small town. And although we are relatively small, still most communities, in the Los Angeles basin don't retain that kind of attitude.
If you were to ask me what are the big accomplishments or what are the biggest things that come here in Paramount would be, I would say that the education now, that these kids are not going into education and they're going to college and they're staying here.
I was born at Suburban Medical Center 22 years ago. I'm currently a senior at USC. I'm a major in public policy and management, and I'm hoping to go on to graduate school and get my MBA.
I really like Paramount, and if you live in it, you get to see what a good city it is, because a lot of people look down on Paramount, but it's not like that anymore, and it's a good city to live in.
Paramount went through a transition period, and I think just being able to be a part of that, being able to see, I grew up in what we call the Sands, and so, for a long time it was kind of a blighted area. It was very negative, and just as time has gone by, the amount of beautification, the amount of, the lowering of crime rates and stuff like that, and just seeing it, not just hearing about it and reading about it, but actually seeing it, I think it's probably been the most special part for me, because, a lot of times people don't know where Paramount is, they don't know what it's about, and they just refer to it as kind of, Paramount. They kind of open their eyes, but, when they come here, even friends that, grew up in Lakewood, they come to Paramount now, and they're kind of like, wow, this is cool.
We're in a particular area in Los Angeles County where you get a little bit of taste of every culture. It's kind of worldly. You get to know a little bit of everybody, and you're not closeted from the world.
I think it's going in the right direction, and I hope that I can continue to kind of, stick around and see what it holds.